I love when somebody asks a question, you immediately go, "Oh," because you and I are both guys who we're sports talk fans.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So if there's a topic that we haven't thought of, or if there's a topic that just sounds good, we both are kind of in the business of like being surprised. And Jake did a great job with this one because reacting to like Lance Riesland yesterday when I said, "Are you expecting a Browns win of the Bengals?" And he, without hesitation, said yes. I think the Browns are a 3-5 win team. And I think they've got a really damn good chance at winning. And I think the fact that they're 5.5-point dogs is embarrassing, which leads us to Jake's topic here, which is which week one result would surprise you the most, a Browns win or the Browns get blown out?
I'm still surprised by a Browns win in this equation. Like the expectation, and we've seen this now a couple times with Stefanski. We watched it in the Ravens game a few years ago, and then we watched it last year in the Dallas Cowboys game. Like Stefanski does get blown out in week one. That is a thing we've seen him do.
Other than when he's won.
Well, I mean, yeah, he's won two games out of the 5. I think he's 2-3 in total.
Yep,
and the
but
other
he did win those two.
The 2 out of the 3 losses were absolute blowouts. So
and who did the last win come from?
The Bengals.
That is correct. Math? No?
Don't do your eyebrows like he made a great point there, Mac. That's not a great point.
People are saying it's a great point.
That's not a great point.
Did I spout a lie?
That's not but that's not not the exclamation point that you think it is.
Okay, show your work.
Stefanski's prone to blowouts. That happens.
He's also prone to beating the Bengals week one.
Week one, and that has happened at certain points. At one point in his career.
Yep.
Are you going to ride the idea that just? And by the way, Burrow's beaten the Browns 3 out of the last 4 games. And people act like Burrow is all of a sudden. And for a while it was true. For a while Burrow had a really hard time against the Browns. That was just reality. To the point that I actually came up with just like this backwards ass theory that because Joe Burrow grew up a Browns fan, he just had a hard time early on in the NFL adjusting to the idea that he had to basically tell his childhood team, "I got to stick it to you."
Yeah,
I just
remember
have to be
that when you take shame me in the future again.
Remember what?
That take.
I admitted it was a backwards theory, but we were reaching at the time. We couldn't figure out why Joe Burrow was going to the Super Bowl, but then anytime he played the Browns, he just looked like an idiot. He looked like he never knew what he was doing.
When the Browns have had an elite pass rush, they've been able to beat Joe. It's that simple. That's why I think a win is the lesser surprising part of this, because I think you're going to have an elite pass rush.
The Chiefs have had an elite pass rush with multiple, including highlighted by Chris Jones and multiple other guys in that defensive line.
Have they played them twice a
Frank
year
Clark,
for the last
Chris Jones,
5 years?
Yeah, and again, Joe Burrow got the best of them multiple one AFC title game, and is the only person that's been able to beat them in the playoffs. Like, Joe Burrow can have success against a pass rush. It's not just Myles Garrett.
No. It's not just that. But I think this is the axiom is true with Joe Burrow. It's true with Pat Mahomes. There's no guaranteed cheat code to beat a great quarterback. But the easiest path to victory is if you can get home, if you can get to the quarterback with 4 pass rushers or less, you're going to give yourself a real chance. And when the Browns have had a truly great 4-man pass rush, not we blitz a lot of guys, not we do a lot of exotic crap, when they've had 4 defensive linemen who can get home or get close to home with regularity, they've gotten Joe's number more often than not, and that to me is the ultimate point in this game. It's not even about Myles Garrett. It's about Mason Graham. It's about Isaiah McGuire. It's about, I think, the depth that you have up front. Again, I don't think this pass rush is going to carry you that far, but in this matchup against an elite quarterback, yeah, I give it a chance to make this game a hell of a lot closer than Vegas thinks it's going to be at 5.5 games.
Okay, you
can
give it a chance, and I'm giving it a chance too, but that's not the question. The question is which result would surprise you the most?
Yeah, I'm giving it a better chance than the blowout.
You think that the blowout is just not? It's on the table. You know it's on the table.
No, it's not. No, it's not. The Cincinnati Bengals stink early in the season. The Browns, when they have a 4-man pass rush, more often than not have Joe Burrow's number. That's why they didn't have his number last year, because
they lost both games in that series last year.
But like, you look at this and it's like, listen, I think the Browns are going to be a very competitive 3-5 win team, and that starts this weekend. And yeah, I think they have a decent chance to beat the Bengals. I think they have a better chance to beat the Bengals. A far better. I'll go one step further.
Okay.
I think the only if given a Browns win or the Browns get blown out on Sunday, there's only one option, and it's a Browns win. I'm going to rubber stamp it with a guarantee, knowing that this sound will be played against me in the damn future. There is no way the Browns are getting blown out.
Well, at least you know the sound's getting played against you then. Yeah. to me, it's way more likely they get blown out. It's way more likely it looks like the Cowboys game last year. It looks like the Ravens game 4 years ago. It looks like that start to the season for a team that desperately needs to take advantage of the fact that the Bengals defense is not going to be good. But you're playing with a lot of question marks attached to this Browns team that I can't bank on, and the Bengals have Joe Burrow.
The Bengals are also with plenty of question marks. With the offensive line, I still don't buy into. The defense is a stink factory. And by the way, I'm somebody who over 18 weeks thinks the Bengals just naturally are going to ping back a little bit to the middle with their defense.
I mean, they should. They had one of the best offenses the NFL's ever seen last year in a points per game standpoint.
Because it's hard to be that bad of a defense for this long. Yeah, and you're putting
from a
bad
points
defense
per game standpoint, the Browns were last in the NFL last year, and the Bengals were first.
And it's a different offense because your offensive line is healthy. You have a different quarterback, and you have a whole different new running back room. Like, I'm not expecting the Browns to be gangbusters here, but do I think if the Browns have any chance to surprise us at any point in this season, is it the first 6 weeks of the season? Absolutely. And again, surprise us might still be 2-4. But I think they're going to be more competitive than people. You can think that they're going to stink. I do. I think they're a 3 to 5 win team.
You're 3-win Wilson.
But that's what one guy calls me. That's John Fanta. And we love him. He'll be on here. He'll be here Thursday.
What's funny about this is, like, I have them pegged for more wins in this season than you do. But right now it feels like I'm the person that's like, hey, can we crawl it back a little bit?
Yeah, I know. When we're talking in Baltimore in 2 weeks, it's a real conversation. When we talk Detroit, week after that. Sorry, it doesn't go Green Bay and then Detroit. So when we talk Green Bay, this is going to be a real conversation. Same thing with Detroit. This game, with the way that you beat Joe Burrow, with the way you beat elite quarterbacks that are pocket quarterbacks in the NFL, which is what Joe is, yeah, I don't think there's a chance in hell they're getting blown out.
I think Joe Burrow can score 35 and 40 and not even blink twice.
Yeah,
and I think the Browns are in danger of doing that thing they did last year, where they went like 10 games without scoring 20 points. There's a real possibility that on Sunday it just does not go well in the slightest bit for the Browns. Because Joe Burrow is one of the best quarterbacks in the sport, and he puts up points at a rate that nobody in the NFL has put up in the previous decade.
So, and he did that in the second half of the season.
Can the Browns match that? Like, Joe Flacco is going to have to turn that into a shootout in the wildest form, and even if he turns it into that and everything is clicking and everything is right, you still have a chance where Burrow puts up 40, you put up 28, let's say. That's still a double-digit loss.
Well, you're definitely dealing with one generalization about the Bengals, which is that when Joe Burrow cooks, he cooks better than anyone in the NFL, or as good as anyone in the NFL. What about the early? You think the preseason, those couple reps there, really changed the game for Joe, or do you think that it's a hapless franchise with a dumb head coach that usually starts slow because they're not a well-run organization? I tend to think that.
No, I think they start slow because
except in this one game,
because they've always used the running game, and I think Zach Taylor's woke up to the idea that they don't need to run the ball a million times in the first 4 weeks of the season. I think they're going to be well prepared to throw the ball a ton. I think that's why they focus so much on the preseason. And yeah, I'm a little worried that this game's going to go sideways for the Browns.
Listen, I am not confident on a lot this season when it comes to the positive with the Cleveland Browns. I would be shocked if this team doesn't come out with a chip on their shoulder and play a lot better than people expect.
I mean, just sound it out for yourself. Joe Flacco versus Joe Burrow. That's got a chance to be a blowout.
Yeah, sound it out for yourself. Joe Burrow versus this defensive line. Because historically, that has gone in the favor of the Cleveland Browns when they have an elite unit, no matter how elite Joe Burrow is.
I mean, Joe's taken on Myles Garrett. Last 4 games, he's won 3 out of the last 4.
Yes,
and in those
recency
games,
because the Browns haven't had a good pass rush.
The most recent game we just played him, he beat us by 22.
2 years.
He just beat us by 22 the last time we saw him.
He beat us last year. Wow, that's the same team.
It's a lot of the same players.
It's not the same quarterback. It's not the same offensive line, and it is a refurbished defensive line.
It's a lot of the same players. If you think Mason Graham alone is the difference, and maybe he is.
What about Isaiah McGuire?
Isaiah McGuire played last year. He was awesome last year. I gave him his credit for last year.
Yes, okay, but you have
he was awesome.
You have a deeper defensive line than you do, and this team is a lot healthier than they were the last time these two teams met up. And oh, by the way, as of Sunday, they're both playing for something. Whereas the last time these two teams met up, they were not both playing for something. Well, one of them was playing for draft position. The other was playing for the playoffs.
I mean, I just don't know how blowout isn't on the table for you here. Especially when you say in week 2 and week 3 and week 4, it is on the table. There's something about the Bengals and Joe Burrow that you just don't jive with, and that's okay. That's fine. I jive with it.
It's this matchup. It's this matchup and how it's gone historically. And I know recent history favors the Bengals for a lot of very good reasons. But I don't think we should sleep on the Browns being very competitive. I don't know. Over the course of 6 to 8 weeks, Do I think that Joe Flacco could absolutely become exposed the way he does when he gets put out there on the field for an elongated amount of time? Yes, it's week 1. That's a bad defense. That not just a bad defense, it's an awful defense. That gives the Browns a chance to do something. So I just this idea that the Browns are going to be non-competitive.
No, I'm not taking them out of the game completely. The question isn't that. The question is blowout or win. I don't see them winning this game. So I then have to choose blowout. Could the game be competitive? Of course it could be competitive. It's a 4.5 spread by Vegas. This isn't a 10.5 point spread. It's not a 12.5 point spread. The game has a chance to be competitive. It's got a chance to come down to the final 2 drives. Do I think that they win out that battle? No, I don't. So ergo, I have to go with the idea that a blowout is much more on the table than it is them winning this game.
It's a very good use of ergo. We did put this out there at afternoon 923 FAN. Which week 1 result would surprise you the most for the Browns? A Browns win, 45% of 70 votes voting for that, and then 54% voting for the Browns get blown out here. I do think, and it'll be interesting to see how much of Kevin Stefanski's offense he actually is able to run, and what, and maybe if the Browns pull their punches because of the personnel that they do have. I think Mo talked a lot about the defense. I also think that just the game of keep away is something the Browns have been able to do with Joe Burrow specifically in the Bengals. I don't see the Bengals, provided that the O-line isn't washed for the Browns, which is a big if. I think the Browns are going to be able to run on Sunday. I'm more confident in that than in the passing game. And I think you have a decent run game, and Myles Garrett does what Myles Garrett does, and I think it could be a very, very fun, compelling game, and that's why I lean towards a Browns Week 1 win being more likely.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those deals where I see Joe Burrow just being Joe Burrow, and having, I think Jamar Chase and T. Higgins, they're never undersold in any sort of battle or competition, but I think the fact that the Browns are missing M.J. Emerson and Denzel Ward has got to be the one to figure it all out. Meanwhile, Greg Newsome, we got to see on the outside, which he's been clamoring forever, but I don't know how that's going to go, and I don't know how this secondary is going to go up against this Bengals offense. The part that scares me the most, Nick, is that Joe Burrow will just be able to call out his number, and I don't know that the Browns offense will be able to match the amount of points that Joe Burrow can score.
Now, I do think yesterday we talked a little bit about, what does... If you win week 1, how does that change people's minds here in Cleveland? Because I think there's a fair amount of fans, I know you agree, that the second you beat Cincinnati, it changes. I don't know you could have more dire consequences for this program and what you're trying to do, threading multiple needles at once this year, than getting blown out week 1.
I mean, again, it's very demoralizing, the same way that last year when they got blown out by the Cowboys was about as demoralizing as it got, because you just had such high expectations, and to get washed and by a team that turned out to not even be very good in Dallas, like that had to have stayed in the back of people's minds. That's why if you can beat Cincinnati, it goes a long way. Like that it really does, especially as you go through a bunch of tough teams after that.
Yeah, I think it's interesting about what a blowout would signify this week or this year as opposed to a year previously, because in spite of that loss, there were still people talking a big game, and not just publicly but privately with the Browns on where they thought last year was going to go. Well, now you're coming off 3-14. Now your feet already feels like it's encased in cement with a lot of people. I mean, CBS Sports had the Browns ceiling as 5 wins, and that's like, I think there's an element of folks who think it could be more than that, but like, I think a fair amount of people look at this team and go 3, 5, maybe 6 wins. I do think, though, week 1 is more important for the Browns than it is most teams because of the simple math problem that the Browns are going to run into. And that math problem is, once you get more than 1 loss in a row, the clock begins to tick very quickly for Joe Flacco.
Yeah.
And in favor of Dylan Gabriel. And that's the Browns actually do need a week 1 win a hell of a lot more than the Bengals do.
I mean, and if we believe Mary Kay's reporting, like it's going to be a pretty quick leash. She's got a lot of faith that Dylan Gabriel, and what the Browns are telling her is that Dylan Gabriel can come in basically at any point that Flacco starts to struggle. If that's week 3, it's on the table.
Well, and I think if you're the Browns, I would be really surprised if they have been able to completely block out all the noise. And by the way, we're part of the noise. Like
There's just been so much noise, Nick.
Well,
it's been from every direction and everywhere.
And in fairness, there hasn't been the opposite noise. Like, in certain places, you're going to have negativity. By the way, Baltimore, I guarantee you, is negative on the Ravens because they haven't won a championship yet.
That is the conversation.
And then you go to the other side, and there's going to be a lot of positive natural pushback of, well, I've been really good regular season teams, this, that, and the other. The Browns.
How many Browns fans are very familiar with the Saints and the Colts right now? Because every ranking that you see, it has us grouped with the Saints and the Colts.
Well, but to me, this is what the locker room needs, is a week 1 win. Because speaking of that quicksand, speaking of that, cement shoe kind of thing, there's so much noise. There actually isn't as much noise around this team nationally as there has been over the last 5 years. But locally, there's just nobody going to bat and saying, I think the Browns are a 10-win team, an 8-win team. And I think that's easy to start to believe if you go out this weekend.
We got a big 3.
Who was that?
Coach Riz, Danny Cannell, and who's our third? John Greco?
That is John Greco, yeah.
That is John Greco. We have a big 3 of people saying 9 wins.
Do you think that has drowned out the rest of the people saying?
I don't think so, but we got a big 3. We called up Ice Cube. We wanted to get him in the league. We called him up. We have a big 3.
I would be very surprised if the Browns could pick out, individual Browns players could pick out the 3 people that have said 8 or more wins this season.
Coach Riz, very notable. That's why he's on the Sunday pregame show.
I do think it's incredibly important, just from a psychological standpoint, for the Browns to have a bleep you, we told you we weren't that bad. And if you don't get that, I think it could unravel so much quicker than even we realize.
The sad part, though, is even if they do get that bleep you moment, I just think it's going to be very short-lived because you have a lot of just punches of the face coming in your direction, and that's what that schedule beyond Week 1 is.
Well, but I think the difference between a Week 1 win could very well be hitting the over just slightly at 6 wins, or if you lose, and specifically in a bad fashion in this game, I don't know how your spirits are going to change going into Baltimore, Detroit, and Green Bay, Baltimore, Green Bay, and then Detroit.
Well, no, but you're phrasing it the right way, because at least you're saying, like, maybe it's the difference between hitting the over and not. Yeah. I think some people, they hear you say something like, oh, if you win Week 1, then you got this momentum, and then the locker room believes in themselves, as if all of a sudden that makes you an 11-win team, and it's just not true.
No, but I do think you need this win to give you a chance to try and have that. I don't think they can. And you are in simpatico on that. You win against Cincinnati, it's probably going to be short-lived, but from that locker room, who I think is desperately, and not just the locker room, from Kevin, who I think everybody's desperately looking for proof of concept. See, this thing's going to work. We're back to the 2023 or the 2021 offense. Hey, the defense is going to give us a chance in every game. Well, that's what Sunday represents in a way that, like, okay, Spencer Rattler is stink on filth. He is. He's not good. But I don't think he's walking into that game on Sunday looking over his shoulder. I don't know Daniel Jones is in Indy walking into this game looking over his shoulder. You've got the quarterback with the hottest seat in the NFL because of how much they like Dylan Gabriel and how much they realize, like, Joe's out there to give the locker room a chance. If the locker room doesn't respond, it is on to Dylan Gabriel quicker than any other quarterback in the NFL.
It's going to happen. It's going to happen really, really quickly if he just starts piling up losses if he can't get it done. But this should be, I think, why a lot of people believe it'll be competitive is this game should set up for Joe Flacco better than any game we're going to see Joe Flacco play in.